I cannot wait to share with you some excellent tips for handling your wild game so it will taste awesome. It is really cool when I have people ask me questions and ask me about hunting and tips and so forth. And lately I've been having a lot of people ask me to share some wild game recipes. One thing that I can suggest is something that you can do really easy. My daughter, she's 17 years old and she has to cook dinner and contribute to the family every week. Well, she's come up with a few very tasty recipes from a website, and one she did last week was so good. And it was beef Wellington, which she made with elk because that's what we have in our freezer, and it was delicious. So when someone's asking for a recipe and something to make with their wild game, my suggestion is take a beef recipe. Take, any red meat recipe you can use with your elk or venison. A lot of the flavor that you're gonna get from game, people always say, oh, this tastes gamey. Well, it's determined by the way you handle it in the field. From the point that you make the shot, to recovering the animal, to field dressing the animal, to bringing it home, to hanging it, and processing it, and putting it in the freezer. All of that is gonna determine how well your game's gonna taste. So with game meat, you wanna make a good shot that slows down the adrenaline on the animal. Obviously animals, if a bull elk is in rut, he's got adrenaline in his muscles already. You're gonna have a little bit of that in the meat. That's one story. But if you shoot an animal and you make a really good shot right away, you drop that animal, it's a goal of, I would imagine, every hunter is drop them in their tracks. Stop them immediately. That adrenaline doesn't have time to go. If you make a bad shot and the animal runs and runs and runs and finally bleeds out and dies, there's adrenaline in the meat, the game is going to taste a little bit different. So make a good shot, number one. After you make the shot and you recover the animal, it can vary depending on temperatures. If it's freezing cold temperatures in December in New Mexico, you have a little more time. But antelope hunt in August, 100-degree temperatures, get that animal recovered. Shots, if you're gonna take some photos, take a couple photos and immediately process that animal. Start field dressing it, get the hide off of the animal, cool it down. The faster you cool down that meat, the better it's gonna taste. So a good shot, field dress, cool down your meat. Take the hide off of the meat. A lot of people use the hide as a game bag to protect the meat, but guess what? The hide keeps the heat in there. It can also keep bacteria in there. When that warmth, bacteria multiplies. So take the hide off. Use a game bag. There's all kinds of reusable game bags if you want to recycle, or you can get disposable game bags. It's up to you. That's your choice. Once you get that process in the game bags, get it out of there as soon as possible. Ideally, a walk-in cooler is the best to hang it in. And if you go to any meat packing plant, butchers, they hang the meat. It's called aging. You age the meat. So age the meat. If you process it immediately, cut it up and package it, it hasn't had time to age, it'll affect the taste of the meat. So age the meat, hang it. After you hang it, when you process it, we choose to process our own meat, and this is simply because we've had some really bad experiences with game processing facilities. So when you're processing the meat, make sure you have clean counters, clean surfaces. Use tablecloths to cover the surface. Make sure everything is clean and organized. You can go outside, hose the meat down, get any leaves or dirt or any debris that's on there, clean that off of the meat. When you age meat, you're gonna have a little outer layer of aged meat. You're gonna trim that outer layer off, and then you're gonna cut the steaks and so forth off. Handling your game is going to make it taste one way or the other, gamey or not. We've had so many instances with friends, family, and relatives, and now you've been warned, that don't know that they're eating elk. For Christmas, we served elk backstrap for Christmas dinner, and nobody knew. Everybody loved the dinner. It was outstanding. So take care of the meat. If you have a favorite game recipe, which I know a couple of you do, a couple of people have already shared some recipes with me, and I do have a friend who actually wrote a cookbook, and I'm working on getting some film of us making recipes from his cookbook, and I will share his website and where you can order the cookbook in the links below. If you have a recipe that you just love, put it in the comments below. You can message me on Facebook, you can message me on Twitter, or let me know on Snapchat, something like that. Tell me about your recipe and I will be happy to give it a try. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? What's the best way to handle your game in the field?